Welcome to Skills 101. Today is about getting more power and less manual work out of KACE. If you've ever looked at a task and thought this should be automated, then this session is for you. We're focusing on smarter scripting that saves time, reduces noise, and actually makes your day easier. Who wouldn't love that? Let's jump in.
Okay, good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're located. My name is Jillian Solomon, and I'm a solutions consultant for Quest Software. Been with Quest now going on 18 years this March. I'm based in lovely, very cold and snowy Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And today's session is all about scripting and taking you from an apprentice to an automation wizard. So I think it's important to define what scripting is so that we all level set. Scripting gives you the ability to automate tasks that typically require a manual intervention or the need to actually visit the device to make those changes. It gives you the flexibility to target devices across your network, thus saving time and resources. And scripting can be used in so many different ways. You know the saying, there are multiple ways to skin a cat. The same holds true for KACE. A customer can ask members of my team the same question and get 5 different answers as to how that task can be accomplished via KACE. And by the way, none of those ways are incorrect. For example, deploying complex applications, maybe services that need to be stopped or started, moving files to a different location. All of these tasks can be automated through scripting. It can also be used for running automation tasks such as Windows temp cleanup, installing printers, or removing printers. So for today's session, we're going to highlight how scripts work in KACE. Customers have the ability to take advantage of scripts that are built into the scripting library, create custom scripts, or use the wizard. Scripts can be ran against Windows devices, Linux, or Mac. Scripts can be ran on demand. Think of something that needs to happen immediately, or a script that can be scheduled to run. Within the wizard, we'll expand on the scripting logic, discuss the difference between online or offline scripts and when to use each one. Scripts also have the ability to include a user notification if the end user needs to be aware of a script running. And you also have the ability to control reboots as well. And for those of you that may be new to KACE, during the demo, if I don't forget, I'll try to point out a couple of things that you may not be aware of. Okay. So using a managed install or a script is always the big question I get. First and foremost, and most importantly, managed installs run under the local system account. The local system account has very high local privileges, and sometimes even higher than a standard administrator in some ways. But it does have quirks, and those quirks can actually break certain installers. Because local system account lacks network credentials, it appears as computer name $sign on the network. It has a tendency to break installers that need to access network shares, license servers, or do online activations during the install. Some common ones that fail: install-aware-based setups. They often fail due to temp file conflicts in the C Windows temp directory. Install shield installers that write to or read from user-specific locations or assume a standard user profile. Applications that require interaction. Think of those that have EULA prompts or CAPTCHA-like verifications. And lastly, software that needs network access during install. Something that does a license check or downloading components or pulling from UNC paths will typically fail because the system has no domain user credentials. So again, when should you use a managed install versus a script? Well, if you're deploying an application via managed install, again, it only runs as a local system. So if that install needs to run as a logged in user or with specific credentials, you'll need to use a script. If there are any applications that always need to remain on the user's device, or maybe a certain application always needs to be set at a particular version, i.e. version control. Managed installs work great since every time a device checks in, it'll look to see if that exact application is installed, and if not, it'll install it automatically. versus a script that's scheduled to run at a certain time. Scripting definitely gives you more control, more flexibility, and can run without a device being connected to the KACE server, whereas a managed install is reliant on that KACE agent having a current connection. Okay, so we'll do a little study session here. Listed are a few different scenarios, and what does best practices say we should utilize? So I need to install basic software, something like Office, Reader, Chrome, Firefox. In that scenario, you would use a managed install. I need to install software that won't install as local system. Hopefully I'm getting that through to your brain. We would then use a script. I need to install software at a specific time in another time zone, i.e. Sunday at 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I need to disable certain services and or processes prior to software installation. We would use a script. And then finally, I need to uninstall a piece of software when it is discovered by the SMA. In that case, more than likely, you're going to be using a managed install. So what kind of methods do we have for script deployments? Well, we have scheduled scripts. We can do a run now, or you can also have it published to the end user portal in KACE so that users can do a self-service even without administrator privileges. And I'll show you that during the demonstration, but even if you aren't utilizing the service desk, we can hide anything ticket related and just use it for self-service of software. Now let's discuss our scripting logic. The built-in KACE script logic is really a if, then, else statement. The KACE scripts use a graphical verify section that acts as the if statement. If the verification fails, then the script moves on to the on failure section. For example, verify for a specific condition, such as file exists or registry key exists. On success, or else, if that file exists, the script can run and it can exit and then log a message such as software already installed. And then finally, on failure, if the file is missing, the script runs the initial installation commands. So let's take a look under the hood. So why would I use an online script? Online scripts rely on the KACE server's clock and require an active connection at runtime. Also, there's an online shell script option, which will allow you to run just a batch file. You just paste the contents of your batch file or your shell script, depending on if it's Mac or Linux distribution, and it'll run it as is. And why would I use offline scripts? Think of maintenance or cleanup tasks during off hours where devices may be offline or powered off. You want a script that performs disk cleanup, temp file deletion, log rotation, or maybe uninstalling trial software. And you want it to run reliably at 2 a.m. even if the laptop is at home, asleep, or not connected to the corporate network/VPN. Offline scripts guarantee execution based on the device's time, making them ideal for remote, mobile, or rarely connected users. They're extremely helpful for performing scheduled tasks that are time-sensitive based on the endpoint's local time zone. And they can also greatly reduce server load in very large environments. Online scripts pull payloads and execute in real time, which can strain KACE if too many devices run simultaneously, whereas offline scripts shift more work to the endpoint. In short, choose offline scripts when reliability of execution matters more than immediate control or real-time monitoring, especially for devices that are not always online. Many of our KACE administrators use them for set it and forget it nightly maintenance. And according to best practices, you should always use the built-in verify section rather than writing an if statement inside a batch file, since this will allow KACE to report the machine as compliant or non-compliant. Take advantage of the variables so that you can ensure certain paths work across different machines. And please, always test on a single machine before deploying it to the label. In fact, I just had a customer tell me somewhat of a horror story where one of the admins made a change to a script without telling anyone, and that script was targeting all of their devices. And it became a nightmare for the other admins to try to figure out or troubleshoot what went wrong. Now let's take a look at some sample scripts. This is where we're going to jump into the actual demonstration. But wait, what about KACE Cloud? So for those of you that may not be aware, that may be an actual KACE Cloud customer, we actually just added scripting, and we've also added an AI assistant to help build out scripts. For those organizations that are not permitted to use AI or choose not to use AI, there is an option to disable it for your specific tenant. You can see where I can enable it or disable it. And here's an example of me using an AI assistant to get the device's public IP address using PowerShell. Okay, we're going to start with the product demonstration. We're going to start with the KACE Systems Management Appliance, and then we'll move over to KACE Cloud just so that you guys get a sneak peek of the new scripting that's built inside KACE Cloud and the new AI assistant. So if we're in KACE, we're going to jump down to the scripting section in scripts. The scripts that you see listed here are all pre-built, come predefined that you could take advantage of. You'll also notice that I can view by category for scripts. I'm going to go just directly to the scripts that I'm utilizing. I'll give you a couple examples so you can see how these come into play. But for instance, maybe I want to utilize the scripting wizard where I have that if or then statement. So in this scenario, I only want to install Chrome on my devices if it detects it as missing. You'll see it's an online KACE script. I have it listed as a draft. This really doesn't do anything other than if you're trying to create a script and maybe you're not quite sure if it's ready for production, it's just a flag for your purposes only. Second portion is, who do I want to deploy this to? And I'm targeting a specific device, and you'll notice the script is running as a local system. But if I wanted to make it run as a logged in user, all logged in users, or give it specific credentials, I can do that as well. Do I need to notify anyone? When do I want this to run? This is where you would upload any of the script dependencies. So in this scenario, it's the Google Chrome MSI for installation. And then I have my task. So essentially what I'm saying is verify that that Google Chrome, that this particular file exists on the endpoint. If it does exist, then I want you to basically, that it does not exist. Sorry, I did that in reverse. But verify that Chrome does not exist on the computer. On success, basically run this MSI. I did promise you I'll point out a couple things, especially if you're new to KACE. When you go into, we'll create a brand new script here just to show you. If you're going to take advantage of the if or then statements, you'll notice the verify here. And if I select add, it's a pretty short list. It's not, I don't have very many options here. The reason being is it's based on who you're deploying that script to. So I have a hodgepodge of OSs in my environment. I have Linux, I have Mac, I have Windows. So if I change this just to Windows, under the task section, you will see this list becomes a lot more extensive. So many customers weren't aware that those existed. So again, if you're targeting just Windows, make sure you're only targeting Windows as part of the deployment, and then you will see the initial options that you have from here. I do actually have, also wanted to show you one of the options that we can do is we can publish this to the end user portal. Okay, so this is the end user portal. This is where instead of using the ability to submit tickets, you'll notice that I've only, for the end user, they can search knowledge base articles or they can install software that you've made available to them. So one of the things I have here is an installation for software. So if I'm the end user and I want to install Google Chrome on my computer, if I have multiple PCs, I can pick which one I want, hit run now, it'll install it. And as I mentioned, it'll install it even if they don't have local admin rights. Technically, it's using the agent to install the application, and that's how the end user is able to initiate it. But I also have a script here. So clean temp files, again, device to install on. If I wanted to do it on a particular device, hit install and it will clean. It'll use that script and then basically clean the temp files directory for me. And we'll go back to my scripts. And again, some of the things that I have listed here is resetting the password for a local administrator account. Looks like I have it as an online shell script. And just so you can see how that works, we go ahead into this particular script. We flagged it as online shell script. And if there's certain things that you don't remember, I don't think many customers take advantage of this, but you'll see the blue question mark as type. If I click on that, that will basically give you the definition of what each script is and, what it does and, things that you should be aware of. And then I can minimize that back. But I have a script that resets the password for the local built-in administrator account. Again, who do I want to deploy it to? It's running as local system. Do I need to send out any notification? Should it run on a schedule? In this scenario, it wouldn't need any script dependencies. But essentially, all I've done is I've taken that PowerShell script, pasted it into this section, renamed it, and used a .ps1 extension. And that's really as simple as it gets. Also, a couple things. Again, if you're new to KACE, we talked about reboots or restarts. There are some scripts that you can basically do a run now and restart the machine. But just so you know, you can also do it from the inventory list. So if for some reason I wanted to restart this PC, you'll see that I actually have that option here. Actually, I don't have that option. And the reason being is because I haven't enabled it. Under Settings Control Panel, in the General Settings, you'll see that there's some options to make certain things visible. So if you're utilizing KACE Cloud with the SMA, there's some actions that you can take from the Inventory tab. There's some virtual machines. So if you have VMs, you can do virtual machine actions. If you have Chromebooks, and then there's this Enable Bulk Restart Device command. So I'm going to hit Save here. If we go back to the inventory, view the devices, I can check the box. And then from here, if I want to, you can see I can restart the device. I can also highlight multiple machines if I wanted to and use that same command. Okay, we're going to move over to KACE Cloud just so you guys can kind of see what that is going to look like. So for those of you that are KACE Cloud customers, you'll be pleased to know that in the library section now, we now have a scripting widget where if I go ahead and select the scripting widget, this would give me a list of all the scripts that I've created. I'm going to go ahead and hit Add New. And kind of a very similar concept to the SMA, a little bit different, but this is where you would name the script, paste your script contents, give it a name, tell it what operating system you want to target. Do you want to target Windows or Mac? And then which language of the script you want to utilize. The next part is the requirements for the script. More or less, basically things that we can select here, or you can do it from this page where, again, who am I targeting, what scripting language do I want to utilize, and if I need to upload any script dependencies. So how does this script execute? It runs by default under the system account, but you can also run it as current user. or logged in users. When should the script time out? By default, it's set for 15 minutes, but if you wanted to extend it, you can, or shorten it. The input is any script variables that you want to utilize. And when should this script execute? Should it be after the device starts up, after a user logs on a schedule? If it is on a schedule, you can see how flexibility I have. Maybe I want it running every day at a specific time, or every Friday at a specific time, or at a monthly basis, maybe day 15 of every month it should run. And what's nice here is we can also test the script against any devices that you have. This will give you instant feedback and let you know if that script was successful or not. But the new thing that we've added is the AI assistant. So maybe you're not exactly sure how you want to write the script. We can use the AI assistant, start a new chat. It'll ask me, what do I want to do from this particular script? And then this is where I can go ahead and go back and forth with it. And then it'll actually give me the contents, and it can either transfer that script for me in the right places, or if I need to do further tweaks, I can do further tweaks from there. I wanted to show you real quickly a script that we can get system info from. You'll notice this is a script that I have. I can edit it, and then I can go to testing. And when I run a test against this particular device, you can see it pulls the contents of that script. It tells me if it was successful or not. Okay, we're now going to answer any questions that you guys may have. Again, I want to thank everyone for attending today's session. Really appreciate it. Just so you're aware of it, we are doing another KACE Skills 101 session. This will be on April 16th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the topic of that particular session is going to be Mastering KACE Patching, Best Practices for OS and Third-Party Application Updates. If you'd like to register, you can scan that barcode and it'll take you directly to that registration page so that you can get notifications about it as well. But I want to thank everyone and have a wonderful rest of your day.